Welcome into the lounge. We're back in video mode, unfortunately, for all you out there that have to stare at Garrett's ugly mug. You got
That's the
me.
best part.
That was a little too close. Nobody looks good that
Yeah,
close to the
I think you
camera.
got some spinach in your teeth or something like that. I can
You
tell.
know what I have for lunch here. But glad to be back, and we're glad to have another guest. We have Jimmy Smith coming on, fresh off his 1-year deal to remain with the Ravens. Just like he said, when we interviewed him at the end of the season, which I actually, side note, I like the way that he was approaching that Tennessee game, remember? Because we interviewed him right before the Titans playoff game, and he was like, Garrett, you're all cocky. You're like, yeah, this thing's in the bag. And Jimmy was like, hey, everybody's like kind of feeling this way. We need to all slow our roll a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's how I was feeling too. So me and Jimmy, like this, I don't want to say. I hate saying "I told you so" on a.
Yeah, why are you bringing up bad memories? This is a happy. We're supposed to be looking forward. This is a happy podcast. Jimmy has resigned.
Right.
Yeah. I just want to be positive. I don't want to go.
I don't know what the
point
point of that was. I don't know why I'm even going down this, but really, it's just to prove once again that you're an idiot. So I'll always do a tangent for that.
Well, I'm not an idiot about the fact that I said Jimmy was going to be back, and he is back, and we're excited about that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our interview with recently re-signed cornerback Jimmy Smith.
Well, we're thrilled to have Jimmy Smith on with us now, obviously in San Francisco, doing a little sightseeing in front of the Golden Gate Bridge. Jimmy, what brings you to San Francisco? It looks like your couch is popping up too.
Anyway, I can be outside without actually going outside right now. It's fresh air out here.
You just got to imagine it. You got to take in the sights, through your imagination right now.
Yeah, I'm floating around on my little magic Aladdin carpet by the Golden Gate Bridge. It's nice, I mean, how long you been stuck in the house? What, 7 days now?
Yep.
Yeah.
How many games have you been?
I don't have a video game system. It's pretty rough over here. I didn't even have a TV, but that's an investment that needs to be made.
Yeah. Do you still not have a TV?
No.
You don't have a television, bro?
I have a projector so we can project Netflix, but then I'm too lazy to set that up, so I just end up watching on my laptop.
That's TV. You don't have cable.
That's correct. Yeah. And I don't have a physical TV, but I have the projector.
Yeah, that's still pretty rough. I mean, I don't play games either, but I've been working through some Netflix series. Ozark. You guys done Ozark?
Only 2 seasons. I think they discontinued that one.
No, the new one's coming out this week.
Oh, nice.
Yes, exactly. Add that to the list.
Stop that one.
Yeah.
See, I was on Love Is Blind. You guys watched that show?
I skipped it.
It's pretty good.
I've seen a little clip from it, actually. Yeah.
It's pretty solid. I'm telling you.
And now the other one that's blowing up is the Tiger one.
Yeah, I just seen a clip of that too.
Yeah.
Like King Tiger?
He shot at the Tigers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So obviously we got you on here, Jimmy, to talk about your Netflix and video game habits. That's the biggest thing going on this week. I guess the other news is that you signed a new contract, 1-year extension with the Ravens. So when we did the podcast with you back in the season, you told us you'd be back. You are back. Is this how you saw it playing out all along?
I mean, obviously not exactly, but, free agency is a different beast in itself. But I mean, my goal was always to come back, and I'm back, and honestly more happy than ever. So, that's all rested behind me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was your first time being on the market, right?
Yeah.
So what was the experience like? Was it all that you thought it would be, or what?
It's like being in a relationship for a long time and then being single all of a sudden, you think you can get all these looks and maybe they're not looking at you the same way. You're a little more comfortable in the relationship he was in.
Your former partner, they accept everything about you, all the warts, everything like that.
Yeah. That's true. Great. It's exactly like that.
So how excited are you that it ended up working out this way?
Oh, like I said, extremely. Like I never, in my heart, never really had plans of ever leaving Baltimore. Honestly, I wasn't even getting enough calls in the beginning. And it could have been because of the COVID stuff and, being a veteran and having been injured. They probably wanted to physical me or whatever it may have been. But I didn't get the rush of calls that I kind of expected to get or wanted to get. And just kind of used other teams as leverage. Really, I really had no plans on ever leaving the Ravens. I mean, even at one point, I started getting to be like, oh, if no team calls, like, and the Ravens, if I ain't with the Ravens, I don't play ball. So that's kind of how it came down to a little bit.
Was there ever a point, like, as you went through the process, that you felt like, oh, okay, I'm getting a call from a team that maybe this one seems like it could be legitimate, or was it kind of quiet? Like, what was that, week period like?
Well, when the first wave hit, obviously the top guys didn't get signed. Then after a few days passed, a couple reporters hit me up and I didn't have anything. And I'm talking to my agent, and, the initial, I guess, what we wanted initially, we put out there and teams weren't really buying on that. And I could understand. But then when we got down to, some lower money, a team came in, and possible suitor, definitely. But they came in with kind of more fishing to see what I would take and what I wouldn't take. But maybe like 2 days later, the Ravens offered me a better offer. So stay with them.
So you've got to be thrilled to keep this secondary together and be a huge part of it. I mean, the best secondary in the NFL, that's not even up for argument at this point. Just how much of a factor was that to return with your guys and know that you can play at an elite level?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. I mean, just to be able to go back to a secondary with that abundance of talent, like you said, and the fact that I truly believe our window is right now, to get a talented quarterback and all these players under contract and have a secondary and a front seven like we're building right now, and to get everybody under contract at the right time, I think right now is our time to reach the Super Bowl. And, I definitely didn't want to leave that. But at the same time, as I live in Baltimore, so going around the city eating, before this COVID hit, and people coming up to me telling me, "Don't leave. You're one of us. You stay." And that really meant a lot too. Is just to know that everywhere I went, every restaurant, store, fans were just like, "You can't leave," and that means a lot that the city loves you like that.
Where do you feel like? Sorry,
go ahead, Ryan.
Gary. Yeah, where do you feel like you are kind of in your career? I mean, we've talked a lot about, hey, if I could just stay healthy, man, like. The talent level obviously is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you still feel like, even though this is a 1-year deal and whatnot, that like your best football could be ahead of you, could come in this year?
I mean, it could. I'm in a different role. I'm used to always being the guy, and now I'm, being the third corner. It's a little different, but it's also, I take it as, I got 2 great corners playing with us. We're all going to play, obviously, but it's less on my body. It's less. I don't have to take the whole plate all the time, I guess you could say. I think that's gonna definitely elongate my career, I feel like.
So going back to when you're on the market and you're talking about other teams potentially calling you, I'm just curious, like, does that give you the proverbial chip on your shoulder? Like, because you expect maybe to get more calls than maybe you got, and is there a sense of like, okay, if there weren't as many teams that were interested, then I'm out to prove that I'm still a premier corner in this league?
Yeah, I mean, it's just my thing, but I didn't think it was a talent thing that teams didn't want to contact. I feel like some things have happened in the last few years, and with my injury history, teams don't know me. They don't know anything about me besides what they've seen on TV or what they've seen on tape. But it wasn't enough to convince anybody, or at least it wasn't enough for without a meeting or an interview or physical, without somebody really trying to sign me. So I can take it as a chip on my shoulder, but I'm going to go out and play my game like I always played my whole career. I'm not really worried about it. I didn't take it as any extra ammo. It is a little bit more like, hey, that's surprising. Like, no team, teams didn't really jump out immediately, but, every athlete thinks that, every team, everybody's going to want them, but, that's not the case.
So
the only team that I wanted to want me wants me, and that's what mattered.
Right. In a weird way, it seems like the coronavirus thing potentially could have had an impact in you staying. Like, if you had been able to go out there on these visits and get into another team's building and take a physical and impress them when you sit down with the head coach and the GM, then maybe you don't end up here. It seems like that in a weird way, this may have played a role in you staying here.
Maybe a little bit, but not really. I mean,
okay.
Like I said, unless the team came out the works, which is some great deal that you just can't pass, that can make your future that much better. But like I said, my mind was always in Baltimore. I told you guys at the end of the season, like I don't plan on really leaving. Me and Eric was going to figure it out, and we figured it out.
That would have just created more leverage for you. So maybe you could have gotten more money from the Ravens.
No, they actually got a better. If I had took the deal at the end of the season, I would have had a better deal, which is crazier.
Oh, snap!
I decided to hit free agency. Wanted to see what it was like, and I don't regret it. But I moved on. I got guaranteed money. I'm good.
Right. What you mentioned, kind of like a different role, and I know what you're saying. Maybe not like a 16-game starter, a full-time starter. Yeah. But could it go beyond that? Could you kind of fill a little bit of what Brandon did last year? We were just discussing this yesterday. Could the Ravens use you in a hybrid corner safety kind of role a little bit moving forward, just so they can get all three of you on the field at the same time?
Well, really all four of us, yeah.
Well, with Tavon, right?
Yeah, I definitely expect that. I took I didn't take any reps, but I definitely started looking at safety a lot more last year, just messing around with it. But I feel like I could be used to, deploy me on some tight ends or something like that. I definitely think I'll be in some type of new role. But third corner for sure, or third or fourth corner, whatever it may be. Right. But I definitely think I could be used to match up against certain, tight ends or something like that.
Very cool. Is that kind of exciting for you?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's a new role. It's a new phase of football for me in a sense. And I'm excited to take it on. I didn't initially, you're like, oh, God, I got to go still prove I can be a starter and play and this and that. But I think, once I took a step back and realized this could be a blessing because I'm still going to get to play a ton and I'm playing for my team. But I'm also get to, not to have so much wear and tear on my body could, help me keep playing this game that I love for as long as I want.
So you mentioned the thing about this team's window and that they're kind of right there on the cusp of getting to a Super Bowl, winning a Super Bowl. I'm just curious, like, how much did you not want to leave that? Like, I'm sure that any player, your probably worst nightmare would be you go elsewhere and then the Ravens, who are right there on the cusp of it, go back and win a Super Bowl. Like, was that part of how big of a factor was that, I guess?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, I feel like I'm part of this team. Obviously I'm part of the team, but I mean, like, I'm building all this just like the GMs and all them. I'm part of this, so I didn't want to leave it. Especially, you're gonna have to kick me out. The Ravens gonna have to really kick me out of the league before I don't try to be a part of this. So I definitely didn't want to be with another squad. Going to a team that wasn't, a contender or, had, somebody young or at the quarterback position. Just I didn't want to go to anything unstable. And I know what we got 14-2 over here. Every year is different, but what the couple of moves that they made in free agency, I'm like, oh yeah, we're going for it. Like, I can't leave squad,
Yeah, so we want to ask you about this. You're a fan of the moves, I take it?
Absolutely, man. You got Calais Campbell, we got Brockers, Judon, Big Baby. Like, we're building the front seven. We get a couple linebackers, and I'm excited to see what we could be this year.
I feel like you guys, we're just gonna have so many athletic freaks now. I mean, Calais Campbell, Brockers, reportedly Brockers. I have to keep throwing that out there, Jimmy.
You add those two dudes. That puts size on your line, Like, right. If I don't know what game it is, but we were playing Pittsburgh Steelers. I shouldn't even say it. But we ran out there. I was talking to my coach, Chris Hewitt, and we walked out there, and we just kind of looked at Pittsburgh like, wow, their D-line is massive. Looks like something when you're going out there, like take a step back. And, we have good, good D linemen, no question, but they ain't 6'7s, 315s. Now we got a couple of 6'5", 6'6" plus dudes, and and they could cover up some ground. So, and they're really good. So I think that's a big plus for us.
It's the old get off the bus thing, when you see him getting off the bus, you're like, nah, I don't want to mess with that.
That's definitely an effect. I don't ever believe that doesn't have an effect.
So your guys' defense, especially in the second half last year when you got back on the field, was really good. Top 5 defense. But you add the pieces that they've added in free agency, and then I feel like having a year with Earl Thomas being in the second year, Marcus came in the middle of the year and had to get up to speed immediately. Do you feel like as a whole, this defense could be even better because you guys are going to have familiarity and camaraderie on the back end of that defense, and then the pieces that we've talked about on the front end who are just going to be able to stop the run and get after quarterbacks?
No question. I mean, you give Earl another year to understand and really understand the defense on how he wants to play things and just the little nuances of the defense. And, we're going to blitz a lot and all that stuff. So he's going to figure out different things and how to patrol the back end back there. And then Marcus as well, learning more and more about the defense. He already kind of picked it up. But, I mean, it just gives everybody a year of gelling chemistry together. So, we get our new D lineman in there and we'll gel quickly, I'm sure. And even if it's just training camp, we'll get together then. I'm kind of excited to see how high of a level we can reach to, putting together the defense that the organization did last year and, on the roll and us being able to reach, I don't even know what our ranking was, but it was 32 to 7 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's 5 or 4.
Yeah, with that type of growth and that amount of time, I'm excited to see when you add, these type of caliber players, what type of defense that we can really get to and what the defense we could be.
So what's going to happen with Judon, Jimmy? Give us the scoop. Give us the inside scoop. He going to sign a long-term deal? He's playing it out on the tag. What are you thinking?
Who?
Judon.
He's franchise?
Yeah. So he's the franchise, baby.
He's the franchise right now. Sheesh, I don't know. What's it? He's an outside linebacker franchise?
Uh-huh.
He quite get that DN money, huh?
I'm sure he's working that.
Right, like, nah, put me in DN. But, nah, he's a great player, great young player. I'm excited. Hopefully he stays because he ain't going to do nothing but make us better. But, you know how that franchise stuff goes. You know how business goes.
Mm-hmm. So what have you been up to, Jimmy?
Like I said, playing a lot of video games, beds, getting ready. I was supposed to be married, getting married this summer. But
nice. Congrats.
We don't know anymore because, all this stuff going on. So it was a little bit of planning that and trying to figure out what date, if it's going to open up in time. So now we have to like a month before and to figure out if we're going to do. But I think we'll probably cancel it and just elope somewhere real quick.
You have young kids. How's this work? See,
I got 3 boys.
I'm shocked you're able to play video games with the young kids. I'm jealous.
Oh, they've learned. But I've been playing more Monopoly and, little NASCAR games and just kiddie games with them. And, they run – so Little Beans and Jalen, though, they have now connected well enough where I can just literally sit them and let them play, run around the house. Julian just sits there. He just sits there and just watches TV like an adult. So it's pretty easy. Actually. The house looks like a tornado hit it, but it's pretty simple.
What's your Monopoly strategy?
I was just going to say, Mink's been complaining nonstop about the fact that he's got to deal with his kids during this COVID quarantine. So I'm glad that you're also not complaining about your kids.
Nah, not at all.
I want to hear about your Monopoly strategy, Jimmy. What's like your go-to properties?
You gotta build hotels on that. That's how you get the money.
But what properties? You do the cheap properties? You a Boardwalk Park Place guy? What are we talking about?
I'm a Boardwalk Park Place. I'm Donald Trump in it. Going big.
Hey, Jimmy, I'm curious. Is it going to be weird? I mean, it seems like OTAs aren't going to happen. Like, it seems like the entire offseason program is probably not going to happen. You won't be together again until training camp. How different is that going to make things?
Well, if we're locked indoors, it might make things a real problem. But I remember I came in a lockout year. Mm-hmm. So I kind of remember it being like this. We came straight into training camp. It was tough, that training camp. We had some really long practices just to make sure everybody was in shape and ready to go because everybody had that time off. But I think it's going to be tough on the rookies especially and first-year guys because they have to go do all this on their own and be ready to go in August.
How do you stay in shape? Because gyms are closed. Like, what do you do to stay in shape? But if it's
I have my personal trainer comes over to the house and trains me and my lady down in the gym downstairs.
Gotcha.
Nice. I mean, do you kind of, as a leader and a veteran on this team, have to reach out more to your teammates to say, hey guys, like, I know this is kind of crazy. but like we have championship aspirations here,
Yeah.
and we don't want to mess that up because you're not taking care of your business.
Luckily, luckily, like we don't have to do that because we have a lot of guys that already have that mentality. They know what's up, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They all know, we got to do it on our own. We got to bust our butts until we got to go back to training camp. But I don't think there's a guy that we have to call and, try to kick him in the butt to make sure he's doing what he needs to do. I feel like every guy on our squad already knows what's up.
Cool. All right, Jimmy. Well, enjoy San Francisco. put the mask back on.
So on this little app you guys told me to download, you can put all kinds of backgrounds.
I haven't figured it out. I've seen people do this, but I haven't figured out how to do it yet.
It's right. It's the first little button. It tells you like background or not.
See, we're all learning a lot more tech stuff here. Oh, Garrett's looking at it right now. I can see it.
I'm trying to figure it out.
It would only let me do this background though.
I'm not on my phone. I'm on a computer, so maybe that's the issue.
All right, we're all going to get a little tech lesson here, but thank you, Jimmy, for joining us. Really appreciate it, and we're honestly really, really glad you're back, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. I'll see you guys after this COVID.
All right, well, good to hear from Jimmy, one of our favorite guys. I know that you and Jimmy have a really great relationship, and man, I'll tell you what, it's crazy. He's going to go down as one of the like long-term great Ravens. I mean, if he had been able to stay healthy for his entire career, he would have been a great. He would have been in Mount Rushmore contention potentially. But unfortunately, it hasn't worked out that way. But I'm so glad that we're able to keep him because I think he's a good dude. He's a good player. He's a good teammate. All those things. So I'm happy that Jimmy's on board.
Yeah, I think it's he's got one of the most interesting career arcs, I think, of any player that's been on this team because he has won a Super Bowl, first round pick.
Pretty big role in winning that Super Bowl too.
Yeah. The end of that game is pretty important now. And has been a huge part of the reason that the team has been in the playoffs and been successful over the course of his career. However, he's never been a Pro Bowler because of injuries. Right. And I think that he's had, there's been seasons where when he's gotten hurt, the team has lost in the playoffs. And I think everyone has felt like, man, if only Jimmy were on the field, we would have been in a much better position. Now, that's no fault of his own, but it's just like when you look at his career and his impact on the organization, it's just really interesting to kind of have that debate and where he ranks and what all that means. Because like you said, like when he's at his best, he is one of the best. And I think it's great for the Ravens to have him back. No question.
Yeah, for sure. So I was interested in kind of the end of our conversation in which he was talking about how COVID is going to impact players and training and what that all means. So, my mind jumps to, as it always does, is how can the Ravens have an advantage when it comes to this, right? In what way could the Ravens, be a step ahead of other teams that are also locked out of their offseason training and OTAs and all that? I mean, one thing that I point to is the coordinators staying in place. Yeah. And Dick Cass mentioned that in our conversation that was really a huge win for the Ravens. Can you imagine look at the Browns, new head coach, new coordinators. Yeah. I mean, having to start fresh and install something without the players being able to be there, that's 100 times more difficult. You can't get on the field to actually work through that stuff. I mean, the fact that the Ravens now, of course, they're going to still change things up and add new wrinkles and all that. You can never stay the same in the NFL, but the ability to have that foundation on offense and defense to work from, I think is huge.
I think that's a good point. I also think that the way that John Harbaugh runs training camp is going to be a big difference. It's a tough training camp. He gets guys into shape, and I think you can look at the course of Ravens history since John Harbaugh's been there. They started the season strong. I mean, Jimmy pointed to the 2011 season where it was very similar. They started that year with a 35-7 butt kicking of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think that is a good thing for this team, considering the way that he approaches training camp. Those practices are already a grind. It's probably going to even be more so this year, knowing that guys are going to have to get into shape. I think that is a bigger thing than people realize. And everyone's on a level playing field there, so it's not like the Ravens are the only team that's not going to be practicing. It's all in the same boat. But there's a reason why they practice in April and May and June. So not having that is a significant thing, I think, more from a physical standpoint. I worry about injuries early in training camp if guys are trying to get healthy or get in shape. Say a guy lets himself go a little bit and then tries to come into training camp and says, all right, I got to get in shape in a hurry. That's when injuries can pop up. And then he brought up the rookies. I think from a rookie standpoint, it's always funny seeing rookies like a week into training camp and they're just dead. They're just beaten down, And so now without having anything leading up to that point, I think it's going to be a really steep learning curve for them. And it does make me wonder whether, as you're building the roster, if there's any part of the consideration of the team saying, we may not want to commit to a rookie coming in and making a huge impact, like right away. Like I'm curious as they're thinking about the draft and they're like, should we really count on a rookie making an immediate impact knowing he won't even be on the field until training camp? I think that's maybe part of the consideration.
That would have been a good question for Eric DeCosta when we had him.
I know. And it would be a good question.
We can ask Joe Ortiz. He promised to come back on.
Yeah.
We'll ask him.
We'll get Joe, or we'll get we'll get that question answered at some point.
Yes. But I do think that's a good point. So one thing I also want to point out here before we go is the new Mock Draft Monitor is out. Mock Draft Monitor 6.0. It's a post-free agency one written by our guy, Clifton Brown, and who's been grinding. Because, by the way, Garrett, I don't know if you know this, but I'm on vacation but still doing the pod.
Well, it's funny. I can't tell a difference whether you're on vacation or whether you're in the office. It's about the same amount of work. It's a minimal amount of work.
Stop.
It's a minimal difference. It's like, Mick's on vacation this week? I haven't even noticed.
Get the hell out of here.
It's the same. Guy, he's maybe
does a podcast, working on vacation.
Not much of an impact.
I'm working on vacation. I open myself up to criticism. Wow. But all right, moving on. And by the way, I did think about this afterwards, about our debate about who's more Baltimore from yesterday. I got a Maryland tattoo, man.
Again, I think that you're confused.
Let me see where's your Baltimore tattoo?
I think that you're a little confused once again. That's the state of Maryland. Baltimore is a city within Maryland. It's not just the entire state. There. That is specifically a Rising Sun Maryland tattoo, which is where you're from, not Baltimore. Well, you just continue to either show that you're not a Baltimore guy or that you don't understand city and state jurisdiction.
We're going to have a capital. I'll battle you in capitals. All right. We'll have a geography. That's right? Geography. Yeah.
You're off to a good start.
Is it geography?
Yeah.
Is that the math? Okay. I was thinking geometry.
Are you thinking geometry? It's algebra. It's algebra.
My brain is deteriorating here. I can't keep geography and geometry different.
It was already a low starting point. It's just continuing to get worse.
And now it's just withering. I also came up with another. Since we don't get to see each other, we have to bounce ideas off each other while we're live on the pod. I came up with a draft idea for us. Okay. Yeah. This is the bunker draft. Okay. We're talking non-perishable goods.
Ooh.
Which, yeah. Like we're talking beans, rice. I think we should put a list together for this. What do you think?
I think that's a good idea. You know what else I think is, it's always funny because I feel like this is always an item in our drafts.
Yeah.
Alcohol.
No, you can't put alcohol on there. That ruins it. That ruins it.
But it does ruin it. But then it's always the debate. How high do you take it? And it always ends up being the first pick.
It's number one. That's just like a shoe-in pick.
I know.
That's the Joe Burrow of picks this year. I mean, come on. I'm also a little creeped out by the new setup you got going in here. I don't feel comfortable being in your bedroom.
It's a guest room.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm like looking at the bed behind me. I'm like, this just feels
guest room.
I like the frame. I like the frame with the pictures hanging. That's nice.
Yeah. Nice touch, right?
Nice frame. Where'd you get that?
I don't know. It's an old frame. Cut it out. Actually, that was at our wedding.
Oh,
thanks for coming.
Nice. I was on vacation, man. Thanks for scheduling it while I was on vacation.
All right, that's all. It's time to wrap this up. We're done.
It's time to wrap it. It's time to wrap it. Anyway, thanks for listening. You can always reach us at thelounge@ravens.nfl.net, and we will be back with you. We're lining up more guests. All right, so those are going to keep coming, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.